This was in the military. I was part of the culinary arts team, so like a display team for chefs in the military. And we'd go to a thing called the Culinary Olympics. It was held in Germany that year. It was fantastic to go and to be there. And the army team beat Gordon Ramsay's team. Yes, it was fantastic. And this was kind of when he was mainly in restaurants before he was kind of TV famous. So people knew who he was, definitely. He was definitely a star, but he wasn't as big a star as he is now.
Welcome to the show, guys. Today we have Danny Davies. Danny Davies is a super yacht chef. He was a teacher. He was a veteran. He's also the host of the Behind the Line podcast. And in this episode, we spoke with Danny, and he's taking us on a journey through his upbringing and the path that basically led him to working on super yachts. From his challenges and successes to some of the failures as well. There is so much more to his story than you might expect. And I'd like for you to join me on the recording of this episode, and we'll both learn a lot more about Danny Davies than we knew before. So let's dive into the episode and let's get to know Danny better. Danny Davies, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, same. So, Danny, tell me, first of all, where are you based? Because I think you spend a lot of time in Florida. Is that correct?
Yeah. So right now, Chris, I'm in Boca Raton, a little place here that I like to hide away from. But my boat that I work on, my yacht, is down in Miami. The boss has just used it over like last couple of weeks because it's been the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. We've had a few people on board, which I'll tell you about. I'm sure. And so I've got a bit of time off now. So this week I'm kind of at home, working from home, doing some projects. We only have 5 crew on the boat, and I think there's only 2 on there at the moment. So they kind of look after themselves for the time being.
Awesome. All right, Danny. I mean, you've been online quite a lot. You've got a YouTube channel. You've written a few books. But I would like to understand a little bit how you started. You are originally from the UK, correct?
That's right. I started a long time ago, as probably every chef says. When I was young, I used to cook with my mother, but she was a terrible cook. So we had to kind of look after ourselves and learn to, make some food. A single parent family. Mum was kind of not at home when we got home from school. And then kind of when I was around 12, 13, she started taking me to a pub in England on a Sunday, just to kind of get out the house and not fight with my sisters. So I started washing the dishes. Eventually they gave me some carrots and peel the carrots, peel the potatoes. And we used to do Sunday roast on a Sunday, which is a traditional thing in the UK. A local pub. So we had around 50 people, and I would carry the plates of food out and just feel appreciated. And the longer I was there, the more I learned to cook. And probably by the time I was 13, 15, I was cooking Sunday roast for about 50 people, taking the food out, getting a little bit of money, a couple of shillings to rub together, and just really enjoyed it. Found my place in the kitchen, found a place where I was appreciated and felt belonged, and just kind of went from there, really.
Yeah. So after that, so you've done that when you were very young. Did you then become an apprentice? How did you jump into the kitchen under a professional setting?
So I kind of went from there when I was about 15 or 16, just finishing up school with my exams and things like that. I started working at the weekends at a fish restaurant, which was a lot more kind of higher level, more fine dining. I did really well there. I ended up going to culinary college. So I'd spend 4 days a week at culinary college, 3 days a week at the restaurant, and just became obsessed with cooking. As I finished culinary school after 2 years, I got my MBQ level 2. I then moved on and did a head chef's apprenticeship at an Italian restaurant.
Head chef apprenticeship, okay.
Yeah, I did 3 months with the head chef. He was there at 6 a.m. I was there at 6 a.m. We stayed all day. We did everything together. He showed me all the scheduling, or how to provision, how to stock the place, all the ordering. I met all of the clients that we had for that and developed relationships with them. He taught me how to keep the menus on point and to keep them moving along. as I said, scheduling, looking after the chefs, making sure everyone got enough time to make enough money to kind of make it worthwhile for them to be there. And he left, and I took over as head chef, and I did that for around 9 months, around 17, 18 years old, which was a huge task. Yeah,
It is because I mean you are still very young.
I
But
was.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to say, in France we've got all this system of apprenticeships as well, because I'm originally from France. I'm sure you can hear it, but we don't have this. I don't think we have this head chef apprenticeship, which is, I think it's a really really good idea, that your job is not just to learn how to be a chef, but to be a head chef and to run a kitchen, because I think you get so much more from it than
Yeah,
just
I
learning how
think
to cook, because you still learn to cook nowadays anyway.
yeah, totally agree. I think because I started young, I had a really good understanding of the foundations of cooking. You know, how to make a bechamel, how to cook from scratch, and how to make a profit from food. Because that's what we did on Sunday
Yeah,
roasts. You know, take all the ingredients and make as much as we could from it to drive business and make money. The
yeah.
fish restaurant taught me that as well. We were connected to a fishmongery, which was a very high end posh place in where I was from, and the restaurant was kind of took their leftovers for what wasn't sold that day. So our menu was always evolving, and we're always using like end bits of stuff and trying to elevate it with French cooking styles, English cooking styles. And so I had a really good foundation of that. And doing a head chef's apprenticeship taught me the business side of it, which I was really thankful for. But it did make my head swell a bit, and I thought I was the next Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
And so I
What year
moved
was
on.
this, Danny? What year was this?
Around the 98,
98,
97,
yeah.
98. And in 1998, I joined the British Army. I joined
Yeah.
as a chef. I did just under 10 years. I was kind of fast tracked through a lot of the chef training because I was already,
Yeah.
capable of that. So I did a lot of other types of training, which made me a very useful person to be in the military. I was a marksman. I did a sniper's course, very highly trained in
A
medical.
marksman. What's a marksman?
Marksman is shooting, so I'm very good at shooting very
Okay.
small things from very long away.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Kind of got a bit obsessed with shooting. I used to competition shoot, so I got my marksman class one. I did a sniper's course as well, so 3 months out in Wales actually, learning to shoot from very long distances and stalking out. Did a lot of escape and evasion stuff. I learned to drive in Northern Ireland and then did high speed pursuit. So we would follow ambulances
Amazing.
and police force and drive really fast, which
Do
was
you not
cool.
miss all of this? Because I mean, this is so far from chefing. I mean, I know there is some thrill
Oh,
in
I
cooking at
still
high
cooked
level.
every day.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
still
True,
cooked every
true.
day. I
But
was
it sounds
deployed
fun.
five times. I got 5 medals. Went to Iraq
Yeah,
twice, Northern Ireland, Kosovo, and Macedonia. All through the Gulf War
yeah.
was kind of my time when I was in the army. But I finished up my career with the Household Cavalry Regiment, which is the ones that ride the horses with the big poofy things.
Yeah,
I was in with the Coldstream Guards before that. They're the ones with the really long
yeah,
black hats. Yeah. So I moved over to the Household Cavalry, and then I became chef for Prince Harry and Prince William. And because I had a lot of training, I became part of their extraction team as well. So I travelled around with the boys for about a year, cooking for them and working for them.
All right. So you cooked for the Prince Harry and his brother.
Yes, Prince Harry and Prince William. I moved into the officers' mess in the Household Cavalry in Windsor just before the boys came. Took over the mess, and then the boys came, cooked for them every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like I said, I became part of their extraction team, so I followed the boys around in the motorcades. Wherever they went, I kind of went, but still cooking, being the chef. Cooked for around 20 people.
So this was pretty close to a traveling private chef role.
Kind of, yeah, but I was in the military, so
Yeah.
gave me a taste of it, I suppose.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. And how was that? What kind of food were you cooking at the time?
Lots of very English stuff like pies, curries. The boys really liked chicken tikka masala. That was their favourite thing to have. And also a full English breakfast. Most mornings it would be sausage,
Yeah.
bacon, eggs, the whole shebang. Yeah. But I
Awesome.
moved on from the British Army. I met a girl, as you do, got married.
Yeah.
She didn't really like army life, so we moved to Fiji, where I became a dive master, and that really introduced me into yachting. So we would take around 10 guests out in the morning on a quite a nice dive boat, take them for 2 dives. I'd come back. The girls on the island would have cooked lunch for everybody, and then I cooked dinner in the evenings. And we lived on a little island. It was beautiful, out on the water every day, and just really fell in love with that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how long did you live there for? Did you work there for?
We did probably about 4 or 5 months out there, but our money started to run out. So we went to a little island in New Zealand, and I took a lease on a pizzeria, which was just a fantastic job. We were originally being hired just to be the pizza chef, and my wife would work as in the bar. But they gave us a percentage of the bar, and the guy that employed us was like, I don't really want to pay you, but I'll rent the space to you. And so I said, okay. And we came up with a number, which was ridiculously low looking back. And I turned the pizza place into kind of a bit of a venue for festivals and things like that. It was in the early days of Facebook, and they used to have pages. So I went onto the college pages of all the local colleges and asked for bands to come out and play. And I'd book about 2 or 3 of the bands, get them out, get them drunk and feed them, and then have them jam on my, I had a huge deck where the pizzeria was, looked out to the ocean. It was beautiful. And set the guys up, get them playing some music, and sold pizzas like it was going crazy. And it just took off. We the first night we did it, we had around 100 people, and all the locals were like, wow, this is amazing. But by the height of the summer, we had 500-600 people. It was insane. Made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Met a couple while we were in Fiji, and they wanted to buy land, so we went in with them and moved back to Fiji after about 6 months of doing this pizza thing, and bought a piece of land. Tried to make it into an eco dive resort, kind of retreat place, but we lost a lot of money. We were young. We didn't really know what we were trying to achieve. A lot of people took our money from us, which was a shame, but it taught us a lot.
Yeah.
I then moved to Florida, where I was a consultant for my sister's wedding venue. We took that from being a restaurant and made it into a wedding venue. It's very successful now. I think it's in its 10th year of getting its 5 Diamond Star Award. They've been running for around 20 years now.
Yeah.
So, excuse me.
Are
Very
you still working
successful
with them
place.
on the side, or?
Well, we live here in Boca now, and it's just down the road. So I go to
But I mean, are you
events.
still working with your sister in the business? Or are you still helping out, or you're still
No,
part of
not
it?
really. Sometimes I'll cook their staff appreciation meal. We did that a couple of years ago, but I don't have much involvement now. We left Florida, moved back to the UK, where I went out to Afghanistan and worked for the American Army. Set up a feeding station 8,000 feet up a mountain on the Pakistan border. So that was a little bit different. I didn't really like it much, so moved back to the UK and became a professor of culinary arts. So I taught in colleges culinary arts from level 1 to 3, which is like the pastry and all that kind of stuff. When I was doing that, I got given a class of students that were had extra needs. They had speech and learning difficulties. And so what we used to do with them is I would demonstrate how to make something very simple like a biscuit. And then they'd have 2 more days. I'd do on the Tuesday, and on the Thursday come into class, and they were meant to make the biscuit. And it never worked. It was just a failure. And year on year, it was kind of like, oh, let's give this to the new guy type of thing. But I came up with an idea. I switched it around. So on Thursdays, I would film what I was going to make with the guys and show them, do a demonstration, and get one of the students to film me on the iPads that we had. I then upload that to YouTube and give it to all of the workers for that worked with the counselors that worked with the students. And they would use that in all of the classes then up until Tuesday, and make, like, so in their math and in their English class, they'd watch the video, because I would talk about ratios, I would talk about math, I would talk about English, and they'd use it in every class. So by the time they came back on the Tuesday, they'd seen my video 20 times, 30 times, and it just clicked. The kids could make the food. We would make biscuits.
Amazing.
And it took off. And after a couple of years, I got asked to speak in London about what I'd done and how we'd set it up. And other classes were taking it on. So the hair and beauty course, they started doing it with their students, and the mechanic guys were doing it with their students. It really became a thing. And while I was at the in London talking about youth employment and training for college students, I got picked up by a London school that wanted to open a careers college for enterprise, food and hospitality. So I got kind of headhunted, and I went off and did that. And I did exactly the same thing, but I did it for kids that had impoverished backgrounds, inner city London kids. that's where the college was based. And I went into Michelin star restaurants and hotels and worked with their chefs to film the dishes that they wanted the students to learn. We'd then teach them to the students. We'd do like a Zoom call. I think back in the day it was Skype. We did Skype with the chef, and 10 of the students would make the dishes. He'd pick one or two of those students, and they'd go and work in their restaurant for a week or two. And it just became such a good way of teaching chefs to be chefs, because they were learning from the chefs and learning the dishes that were on their menus. So they could literally leave college and then start at that restaurant and already know all of the menus.
Such a great concept.
We opened a restaurant.
Are they still using this method of teaching kids in these schools?
Yeah, we called it flip learning. And you give them the video of what you want them to achieve at the end of it, and then you use it for as many things as you can. So you'd use it for science, use it for English, use it for math, and they're just watching the video over and over again, and it kind of becomes ingrained in their brain. It's like TikTok for chefs.
Exactly. Amazing. And then, so after that, what did you do, Danny? Is that when you started on yachts?
No. I then
there's more.
in the summer holidays, I was a consultant for restaurants, so I'd open restaurants in the summer holidays, usually small cafes, but I kind of worked my way up and got a good reputation. So a hotel offered me to work for them to make them into a wedding venue. So I did that and made a lot of money. And my wife wanted to move out to Florida for our kids and everything. I've got 2 daughters. And we moved out. We sold the house. We sold the cars. I had probably 2 months left on a contract. The family went out, set up there. But Trump got into power, and my visa just got kind of stopped. The restaurant that were hiring me said it was going to take too long for me to get there. And I was really at a stalemate. My contract was finishing, so I was going to soon be out of a job. Yeah. And I remember I had a friend on Facebook that had worked on yachts. So I reached out to him and said, hey, how do you do it? He explained about how to get an STCW, which is like your basic safety course, and my medical. I did that. I took a job as a head chef in a busy pub, going back to my roots, because I hadn't cooked for so long. I'd been teaching and I'd been a consultant. So I've been wearing a suit for probably 3 years. So I went back into it and did 3 months at a busy restaurant. We did about 200 covers for lunch, 3 for dinner. It was full on. It was stressful, but it was fun. Sharpened my knives, so to speak. And then I got my first job on a royal yacht, Al Lusail, which is 125 meters.
It's a big one. What year was this?
This was 2017.
Yeah.
One of the
biggest boats in the world.
I think it was at the time. Yeah, I think
biggest yacht,
that was the biggest one released. I was the salad chef at the time, though.
Salad chef.
Real step down. The yachting industry is like that. It's so hard to get into. It doesn't matter what you've achieved in your life as a chef. They look at you as
it doesn't count. It's funny. It's funny. It doesn't matter if you've been a head chef here and there. It doesn't matter if you've been like 10, 15 years head chef in one of the best restaurants in the world. If you haven't have, the experience on yacht, they'll be like, I don't know if you can do it. And you're like, come on, I've acquired so much more skills
and
just
exactly. All we have is salad chef. But it was good. It got me in, and it got me that letter from the captain, which is so valuable. Once you have that first reference from a captain, that kind of like opens
first experience, first reference. It's essential to start.
Mm-hmm. And it's really important to be as professional as you can as a chef. You hear a lot of stories of really good chefs out on land-based jobs. They come to yachting and they expect to be treated like they're still in their Michelin star restaurant, and it's just not like that. It's a completely another level. You have so many more responsibilities. Everything stops at you, whether it's cleaning the floor, polishing the silver, to cooking fantastic dishes. You have to do everything, and you have to do the logistics of getting everything to the boat. It's a completely different beast. I really enjoyed it, though. I went from Al Lusail to a charter boat as a sole chef, so I did a 50-meter. I did a
50-meter sole chef.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Because for people that are listening or watching, 50 meters is kind of the size you don't want to work on. Because if you go on to a 55-meter, you usually have 2 chefs. You have a head chef and a crew chef. But 50 meters, you've got, I don't know, you tell me if I'm wrong, but like 12 guests and probably 14 crew, 12 to 14 crew. So you have like the maximum, a lot of crew basically, and a lot of guests to cook for.
Yeah, that's true. Usually around 10 to 12 crew.
Yeah,
But yeah, sometimes it can be 14. Sometimes
yeah,
you get lucky and it's 8, and then it's
yeah,
good. But that kind of size, from about 40 meters to 50 meters, is probably the hardest one. They're affordable, so they're chartered a lot.
yeah.
They're they're kind of the right size to get in everywhere as well in terms of locations. So they're very popular. Like you say, you've got 10 to 12 crews, sometimes more, and you've got to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them. Maybe not breakfast every day, but at least once a week. And then you'll have 12 guests usually, and that's kind of the maximum you can get. And because they're affordable and because they're the right size, they're
I mean,
usually full.
affordable, Danny. It's still a fair bit of money
Oh
to rent
yeah,
one
yeah.
of those per week.
Couple
I
of
mean,
hundred
what is it,
thousand,
like
yeah.
50? Yeah, 100,000, 50K. Depends how old or how new it is, but around 100 to 100K, no, a week.
Yeah, between 2 and 3. I've worked on
Yeah,
a few that are like 350,
yeah,
350,000 a week. Yeah,
yeah.
and
Plus
then
tips,
it's more on
plus
top of that, right?
fuel. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you
Plus
have
all the expenses.
APA fuel, and like you say, tips as well. So it's probably another 50 grand on top of what you're spending.
Yeah, yeah. So that's an affordable yacht.
If you're a millionaire, right?
No, but I understand. And I agree with what you're saying because the size is like 50 meters. You can get into all the marinas in the world, pretty much.
Mhm.
You're big enough to go far, but you can stay into the small port and the small marinas. It's not, $1 million or $2 million a week to rent. So like most people can actually, most like multi-millionaire can afford it. And yeah, and it's big enough to have enough space for 10 guests and to have an amazing time, I think.
Yeah, all the water toys,
Yeah,
the ski bobs. The one I was on had a slide down the side of the boat, so the
yeah,
guests could do that. The jet skis and the sea bobs that take you under the water. So I did that one, 50 meter, and then went on to a 45 meter, which was kind of special. It was bought by one of the Google guys. Can't really say who,
yeah,
but we had some fantastic guests on board. I
yeah,
fed Barack Obama's wife. She was fantastic. That was a real experience. We had the security team on board, and people everywhere, and some other very important people as well. Kind of honor to do that. And then I traveled with that boat over to Antigua. Once we
yeah,
got to Antigua, I then flew back to Barcelona actually and picked up another boat and came back with that one to do a charter in the BVI's. So it was a really interesting year for me to cross the Atlantic on one boat and then fly back
and then
and
cross
crush it
again.
on another boat. Yeah, literally
Yeah,
like a week after each other.
yeah,
But this other boat was a 75-meter boat, which is a lot bigger. It was owned by a guy called Peter Lurson, and he's one of the kind of top designers for boats and builders, shipbuilders for boats. He makes some of the biggest boats in the world. And this boat was, if you bought a boat off Pete Tillerson, you got a free trip on the boat. And the people that we had on board were having their Christmas and New Year's in the BVI's, St.
yeah,
Bart's, St. Thomas, all those beautiful areas there. During the trip, during the crossing, actually, the head chef, I was sous chef then, the head
yeah,
chef got a nasty infection. And by the time of the second day of the charter, he was in a really bad state. So they had to fly him back to one of the mainlands to go to hospital. Actually, it was
yeah,
quite serious. Unfortunate for him. He's all right though. He did all right. I've met him quite a few times since and worked with him. But lucky for me because I then became the head chef of the 75-meter, which really helped me. The principal on the boat liked to chat with the chef while the girls were getting ready before dinner. So we
yeah,
used to go up to the Tapanaki bar, which was on the sun deck, and I basically pretend like I was finishing off the food because I already had it all done, obviously, and just chat to him about daily life. And I got to know him. I told him my story about what I'd done, basically
yeah.
what I've told you over a few days. He really liked
Everything
me.
you've done, all these different jobs and different locations, and yeah, incredible
Yeah,
background, basically.
I like to get around, eh?
Yeah,
He really liked me, and he offered me to be the head chef on his new boat that was being built, which I thought was lovely. We said goodbye, and I never really thought anything would come of it. But we stayed in touch. He used to contact me through my Instagram
yeah,
page, and over 4 years, he kept in touch, and then he employed me on the boat. The boat was Apu, motor yacht Apu, 115 meters.
big
I
one,
flew out to
big
Germany,
beautiful boat. It came out when 2, 3 years ago, no?
2023, I think, or 22. I think it's
Yeah,
22.
so 2 years ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah,
boat.
it is. It's Lady Georgia now. It's called.
Yeah,
So I flew out to Germany and basically headed up the team there and got the boat ready. The other chef that was on the boat with me that got the infection was actually the other rotational head chef.
Yeah.
And he was in Jamaica with the boss, getting his hotel ready for the boat to be launched,
Yeah.
which was an interesting experience.
So that was a bigger galley, yeah? How big was the boat? You say 127 meters, 140,
115 meters.
115 meters. So how many chefs was that in a galley?
So we were five, but we
Yeah.
operated with three on board. So
Okay,
the
so
head chef,
5 chefs because some are on rotation. So there's always someone that is home. So you have a team of 3. So that would be a head chef, sous chef, and crew chef.
yeah, but we had a galley hand. So our sous chef looked after the crew,
Yeah.
and our crew chef was our galley hand, and
Yeah.
they basically did the washing up and any prep that we needed doing. But it was a really solid team actually. We had all five of us in Germany, like getting everything ready, and then the head chef flew out to Jamaica. I took over operations of moving everything on board, and then I cooked the first meal for the family once they signed the papers and officially took over the boat,
Yeah.
which was an honor to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Then where
So
did
that
it go
was
from there?
20. So that's when the boat launched. So that was 2022. So that was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And
Yeah.
then after that, what did you do?
Well, kind of before that, I was working for a family. They poached me off. I was on a busy charter boat for 2 years, working out in the Bahamas, and we did a New Year's charter with a family. The family got COVID, but mum and dad didn't. So mum and dad came out for a week while the nannies and the kids stayed at home with COVID. It was a really difficult charter. He was like wanted to be a vegan, but still wanted to have fish and a few other things like caviar and
Yeah, it's hard to navigate. You don't know
oysters
what to put
and
on a menu then.
yeah, and it was really strange to cook for them because I had provisions for 12 people, thinking they were
Yeah.
coming, and it was only last minute. We just had two, and every menu that I presented would be like, no, we don't want that. Think of something else, and it was so difficult. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. It was the most stressful week, and just two people. I was
Yeah.
going crazy.
So every day they would tell you the menu is not good enough. But how did it go at the end of the trip? Because I know sometimes these people can be very difficult, very demanding. But when comes the end, they sometimes turn around and be like, "Thank you, it was amazing," and you're like, and you can be like, taking a bit aside, like not understanding what's just
Well, yeah,
happened. So
that kind of happened.
yeah,
They last night they asked me to come up to the. I used to go up every dinner
yeah,
and talk to them about the menus for the next day. I went up. It was last night, and the principal made me get down on one knee, and he proposed to me to be his chef for the rest of his life, which was fun. I think he was a little bit drunk.
yeah,
It was nice. It was a real good compliment. We stayed in touch. We contacted each other through Instagram. And then
yeah,
a few weeks later, I left that boat. I'd been offered another job. And I posted a video of the boat going off in the distance. And I was like,
yeah,
goodbye. It's been a great 2 years. And he reached out to me and said, hey, when are you in Boca again? I'd like you to come and cook dinner for us. So I was like,
yeah,
okay. Contacted him when I got back to Boca, went up to chat to him about the dinner that he wanted, and he offered me a job. And so then I ended up working for him and his family, flying between New York and Florida, private jets every week. It was just so different from being on yachts, unbelievable. And they actually let me go when the Jamaican guy asked me to come and launch a poo. They let me
yeah.
go for the 3 months it was to go to Germany.
Really, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was so lovely. And we parted ways, and I went off, and I didn't think I was going to come back, but I did, and they offered me the job straight back again, and I worked for
So,
them
so
for
how was
a
it to
year.
cook for them in the house? Because that's what you did, right? You cooked for them in the house in New York, and then you went to Florida, and you did like trip back and forth. But how was it to cook for them, you know, in the house compared to the boat?
It's
Was it the
so
same?
different for being a yacht chef. You're limited on your resources, and you've got what you've got. As a private chef, you can have anything you want, and you can get anything delivered.
Yeah,
And I had no budget, so it was fun. I did a lot of development, and that's why now I was able to write my two books, Vegan Plus.
yeah,
So the idea was, the boss liked to have a lot of raw vegetables and vegan-based food, plant-based food, but
yeah.
also like to have, a little bit of wagyu steak, lobster,
Is
some
that the
caviar.
plus? Is that the
This is
plus
a
in the name
plus.
of the book? So
Yeah,
vegan
that
plus a little extra.
yeah, that was right. That's what I created. Their sister, one of the sisters from the family, was really into photography. So whenever she came to stay, she'd take beautiful pictures of my food, and they were like, "You should make a book. You should make a book." So we made a book.
So you did.
We've got two out now. They're very thin. They're just kind of a collection of recipes, probably about eight to 10 recipes in each one. They're
Yeah,
$20 on Amazon.
yeah,
Put a link below.
yeah.
Um,
I'll put it down. Don't worry.
Thanks very much. They're interesting. I tried to take the idea of a salad and make it as beautiful as I can, make it
Yeah,
as spectacular as I could. And I did some kind of crazy techniques to do that. But I think it turned out pretty good. Most people
yeah.
like them.
No,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing. It's another thing that you've accomplished. So congrats. I mean, not everyone can say they've published a book, and it's also based on real recipes. It's not just stuff that you put together and you just try to make it work. It's something that you have served and you've tried. So I know they must be good recipes.
Yeah. I like to think so. I taught a course with them last 2 years. I've done a course at Blue Water
Yeah,
Training in Fort Lauderdale, plating courses and some from the book. It went pretty well. And from the book as well, I got 2 jobs working on a cruise ship, luxury cruise ship. So I'll go as their celebrity chef, their guest chef.
yeah,
We went from Barbados to St. Martin over 11 days. We stopped at 9 different islands. And every day I'd get off, find some ingredients on the island. I took a film crew with me as well. We filmed the whole thing. And then come back on
so
and cook
you took
dinner.
a film crew, you as just as your own expense, as your own, part of the deal
Uh,
was
we,
like,
we worked out a deal with the film crew, with myself, and with the cruise company. So the film crew created some advertisement with B-roll and stuff for the cruise company,
yeah,
which meant that we didn't need to pay for their tickets. The film crew wanted to launch their website, so they've used a lot of the material for
yeah.
their stuff. It was kind of a trade deal between us all.
But
But
what about you? Are you getting like a cool little docu out of it, or
yeah, we've got a bunch of content. So
yeah,
we did that one. We did the Caribbean, and then we did London to Norway up into the fjords, and we went right up into the Arctic Circle. So we got 2 of those. They're being worked on at the moment. They
amazing.
should be released pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah. Next thing you know, Netflix will give you a call, and you never know. You can add another line on your CV as a
Hopefully,
celebrity chef.
that's the dream, right?
It could be. It depends. If that's what you want to do, why not?
Why not?
Why
Hey,
not?
shoot for the stars.
So, when was this cruise ship experience, or this cruise
Oh,
ship
so I did that
job?
this year.
This year.
Those 2 trips this year. One in the early summer, and then one in the late summer.
Amazing, amazing.
Um, yeah. Let me tell you some more. So where am I? We're at like a poo, and then working for that family. So then I started working on a 50-meter yacht at the end of last year for the Christmas and New Year's season.
Yeah,
Busy charter yacht again. Did the Caribbean. It was good. But my kind of YouTube and Instagram was kind of taking off and making me a bit more money. So
yeah,
I left that boat, did a bit of freelancing, and started working on a very small boat that runs a dive and a scuba program and fishing program. So I've got around 5 crew, including myself. The boss
is that based in Florida?
is based in Miami.
Okay, so that's perfect for you because you're based there, right? Or you're not far?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not far. The boss has 2 or 3 business clients on. For 2 or 3 days. We take them diving, we take them fishing. I then cook what I've caught in the day at night. It's really relaxed. Most people have never been on a yacht before, so they're kind of blown away
yeah,
with everything and the service
yeah,
that we do. I'm a dive master as well from back in Fiji,
yeah, yeah,
so I
yeah.
get in the water every day as well and go down. It's just an ideal lifestyle. I really enjoy it. I've now got myself involved in a few of the boss's projects. We're hopefully launching next year, maybe the year after. So it's exciting times.
What kind of
It's
project,
fun.
if you can say a little bit? Is it
I
food?
can't
Is
really,
it
but
food or is it nothing to do with food?
yeah, it's food. Probably
Amazing.
some more TV stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, I can't really say much more than that.
yeah, awesome. Fingers crossed, no?
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So I also do chef competitions, so yacht chef
Yeah,
competitions in West Palm or Palm Beach, sorry, Fort Lauderdale, which we just did, and Miami. So all the boat shows. This year in April, I was flown out to Monaco to be a judge for their yacht chef competition, which was a fantastic honor.
amazing.
I, I sat around the table with some of French
Yeah,
Michelin,
yeah. There was
France's
some big
best
names
Michelin
there.
star chefs. Yeah,
Yeah,
Glenn Veal was like blown away to meet him and to talk to him. And we had a dinner the night before with the Prince of Monaco.
as
He
you do.
came to, yeah, which was fun. He came to like welcome us all, and then we sat down. There was probably 12 or 14 Michelin star stars around with everyone sitting around the table, all telling their
Incredible.
stories
How
about.
did you manage to get a seat at that table? How did you? How did they approach you? Did they approach you because of some of the people you work with or you work for before, or was it more because of the YouTube channel? What do you think gave you a chance to be at a table? No, not that.
I'm
I
good.
mean, you have a background. You have an amazing background. You have worked for this, but I mean, was it because they were following the channel, or?
I'm good friends with the lady that organises it through Blue Water.
Yeah,
Um, I've done some promotional stuff for them before. I won the Monaco Yacht Chef competition twice. I won it in 2000 and 2001, which was
yeah.
sounds fantastic, but it was COVID, so it was actually a photograph competition. I sent photos in; they all voted on. So I won it twice, and usually what they do is the person who wins it then gets invited back next year to be a judge. But
Okay,
because it was
yeah,
COVID, it never happened until 2024,
yeah.
and then they invited me to be a judge.
Wow,
So I
amazing.
earned my seat at the table for winning the competition.
I mean, incredible, incredible. I mean, I wish I was there. Maybe next year. Maybe next year
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
try to get to Monaco. When is this running? Is this in April? Or is it in March?
So they run the chef competition in April, and
Yeah,
then the boat show happens at the end of September.
yeah, yeah. But do they have a competition as well during the yacht show?
Not currently, maybe though in the future.
Maybe.
Maybe you never know.
Danny, there's something I want to say as well because, funny enough, but today is November 11th, so I just wanted to say, thank you so much for your service
Oh,
in the
thank you, I
army and
appreciate
all
that.
you've done. I mean, you've done almost 10 years, so that's incredible. It's just a coincidence that we get to talk today on that same day. So, thank you so much from everyone. So, what's your next project? I mean, you said you're working on some stuff with one of your previous employer and something that's coming in the future. But like right now, what are you going to be up to in the next few weeks or next few months?
So right now, just going off the back of Fort Lauderdale boat show, so I'm editing videos like crazy every day, trying to
Yeah.
put those out on my YouTube channel,
How many
which
how
is
many channel do you have? You have just you have Behind the Line. That's your
yeah,
main
behind
channel,
the
right?
line. That's
Yeah.
YouTube. Yep. And then I do my Instagram, which is Future Chef Project.
Yeah.
Most of my traffic goes through Future Chef Fresh.
I want to
Future Chef
touch on
Project.
this future chef project as well because there's something.
Yeah.
When did you create when did you get the domain name basically? Because that's probably when it all started.
So that was back when I was a chef lecturer at my first job. I used to teach math, English, science, and computer literacy, IT, computer literacy. And what we had to do is for
Also,
English.
hang on, Danny. So you were not a chef teacher. You were an actual teacher.
Yeah, yeah, we used to teach everything. Yeah,
Okay.
I have a degree in teaching. That's what I have my degree in, teaching culinary
As
arts.
well as all the other stuff you've done in the past. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so just continue. Yeah.
So I had to get the students to write letters to like pass a part of the exam, and so obviously all the chef students wanted to write to chefs. So
Yeah.
we just wrote the letters out and like sent them off to Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver and whoever else they thought they wanted to write to, and it was a really bad response. And we'd spent maybe 4 weeks with the students getting these letters to a good standard where they would pass the test, and
Yeah.
to have like such a bad response from these celebrity chefs was a real
Yeah. It's
kind of blow.
disappointing.
So I started a thing called LinkedIn, which was kind of new at the time, and just went and reached out to a bunch of local chefs and said, "Hey, I've got some students. They're going to write some letters. Really like to get a letter back. If you're
Yeah.
interested, like join this group and we'll start it." And I called it the Future Chef Project and started a page. And we got a really good response, and it grew and it grew. And every year, the students would write letters to local head chefs, and they'd get fantastic letters back, with how they became a chef and inspirational things. And that started the work experience program. So then from those letters, we started getting those chefs either to come in, cook with the students, or for the students to go to their restaurants and work for a week. And that became Future Chef Project, really, helping those students. And then obviously, well, I talked to you about with the students with the speech and language problems,
Yeah.
that kind of became the title for that and moved things forward. And it's something I've been very proud of. So I've stuck with over the years, and it now it became my consultancy business name for a while. And now I just use it as my Instagram handle, and everyone kind of knows me as the Future Chef.
Yeah. No, that's a good that's a excellent idea, and I love where it's coming from. It's coming from trying to help these young chefs to get in touch with some celebrity chef or someone that they inspire them. So that's amazing.
So
Is there
important,
is
isn't
there
it?
anyone, Danny? Is there anyone that inspired you as a young chef? Like who was the chef that you would look up to and wish you could meet one day? And the second question is, did you meet him or her?
So Gordon Ramsay was very popular when I was younger, and
Yeah,
so was Jamie Oliver.
yeah,
When I was in the military, Jamie Oliver started a campaign in the UK to improve school dinners,
yeah.
and I was part of a kind of a project, I suppose, to train those dinner ladies. So we would have busloads of
I
dinner
love it,
ladies.
Danny, because there's so much. When you start peeling a little bit, there's so many more stories. I feel like
There's so many
you've
things I've done.
accomplished so much. So please continue.
Yeah, there's so many things I've done. We could speak for hours, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah,
I haven't
please,
even 10 years
let's
in the
just keep
military. I'm still
rolling.
remembering.
Let's just keep rolling. We'll
So
make
yeah,
it 2 episodes.
so Jamie Oliver did the thing. We had busloads of dinner ladies dropped off, and I was doing my leadership part of my army training. So I'd been in about 5 years at that stage, and this was to get my next rank up. And so we had to teach these dinner ladies how to make a bunch of different foods, so they could make it fresh
Yeah,
for the school kids rather than using processed food. That was Jamie
yeah,
Oliver's objective. And through the competition, through the training, which was about 3 months, the din ladies got to vote for who they thought was the most worthy, the best teacher and all that. And I won it along with another chef. And we got to spend 2 weeks in Jamie Oliver's restaurant in London, working with their kind of students. It was called 15. It was a TV show, and they
yeah,
took students that had lots of issues with addiction and stuff like that
yeah,
and gave them a job in a restaurant. So we went to work there. And at the time, they just launched one in Amsterdam, and so we had like guys over from Amsterdam working in the restaurant, and different people coming in and out. It was a crazy 2 weeks, but it functioned as a restaurant. It
yeah,
worked. It was a little bit insane. Like you had some crazy meltdowns in the kitchen with just students just losing it, or having life issues that they just couldn't deal with.
yeah.
It was drama every day, but yeah, we served restaurant food, standard food. We had people coming in; they paid really good money, and we did service after service after service.
So
It was interesting.
did you get to meet Jamie?
Yeah, I got to meet Jamie. We hung out a little bit. I mean, not loads. He signed a book for me, and we chatted a little bit. One of my all-time heroes was, well, still is, a French guy. I'm trying to think of his name now. I can remember Junior, Michel Roux Junior. So his family have a house or properties close to where my first college was, and they would often do events at a local pub that his dad used to eat at a lot. So I got to meet Albert, Michelle, the other brother. I think it's Michael, the other brother, isn't it? A bunch of those people.
Alain Roux.
That was fantastic. Yeah, that
You
was
know, I used to
fantastic.
work for Michel, right?
You did.
Yeah, that was in
Whereabouts?
2000 at the Waterside Inn. I used to work for Michel Senior. So Michel and Alain Roux at the, next to Reading.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's an
And that's
amazing
such
family
a
because these guys are not only they have achieved. I mean, I'm talking about Albert and Michel, which are now not with us anymore. But these two brothers, have achieved an amazing amount of stuff by being chefs, just by
Mhm.
doing what they love, by being just excellent chefs. And
Yeah.
the legacy is still going on because I actually shared something on LinkedIn today because the Rule Scholarship is opening up today or tomorrow, I think. So like young chefs can actually apply and try to take part in a competition to become the Rule Scholar 2024-25, which is going to be, I think, next year, early next year. And yeah, I mean, these chefs have accomplished as well an incredible amount of stuff, and they're still very humble, and they're still just nice human being as well. I just want
Yeah,
to
they
mention
are.
this because some chefs, once they become big, once they become famous, they just turn into maybe having too much ego. But the
But
Rue
those
family
guys know.
doesn't.
Yeah, they're lovely people, aren't they?
Yeah,
I did a lot of things with Michelle.
yeah,
One story about Alan Albert was we did this event at a local pub. I can't remember, it was for an anniversary or something, and my job was to make sure that he had champagne. Only every time he needed a new glass, we had to open a new bottle, and he had the first glass, and then everyone would have another glass. And
yeah,
I must have opened 6 or 7 bottles that night. It was crazy.
yeah.
I've never seen anyone put them away so much. But it was such a lovely guy. It was a great event. We had Michel Roux in the galley on the pass working with us, work with the students. He did a strawberry picking event with me. So we took the students to a local pick your own strawberries. We picked all the strawberries, and then we met Michel Roux back at the college, and he helped the students make jam and signed a bunch of books, which was good. And we shot a TV series called Kitchen Impossible. So he shot that at the London college that I was at during the summer holidays, and it was my job to kind of be in there and make sure everything went okay and look after them whatever they needed. So that was cool as well. Spent quite a bit of time with him. Like you say, fantastic person, such a humble family. Everyone was so generous. Once I got to know him from the show, anytime I went to London, he'd be like, "Oh, go here, eat at this place, eat at that place," and it was fantastic. Got to meet Fred Sirik. I don't know if you know him. He's the head maitre d', or was for a long time. Again, such a lovely guy. We started doing the waiters race through London, working with him. So we'd get all of our students would come down and run through Hyde Park, I think it was, with the waiters trays to raise money for waiters and stuff like that.
Great idea. Amazing. Are they still
And
doing
then
this stuff?
Gordon
Are they
Ramsay,
still
I
doing the
met
race?
Gordon
Or?
Ramsay as well.
Yeah, you have. Of course you have. Where? Tell me more.
So this was when I was doing. This was in the military. I was part of the culinary arts team, so like a display team for chefs in the military. And we'd go to a thing called the Culinary Olympics. It was held in Germany that year. It was fantastic to go and to be there. And the army team beat Gordon Ramsay's team.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Take that, Gordon.
And this was kind of when he was mainly in restaurants before he was kind of TV famous. So
Yeah.
people knew who he was, definitely. He was definitely a star, but he wasn't as big a star as he is now.
Yeah. Amazing. Danny, you've accomplished so much. I've got a couple of questions for you because obviously you keep pushing, you keep going. First question: do you feel like you have something to prove? Because you've worked so hard and you keep working so hard. You're doing that for yourself?
Blessed. I feel really blessed. I live a fantastic lifestyle at the moment. It's great. I drop my kids off at school in the morning, go to the gym, ice plunge, work from home most days. I go into the boat maybe 2-3 times a week, if that. If there's no one on board, if there is someone on board, then we're heading off to the Bahamas or Caribbean. So it's pretty
nice.
good.
Yeah.
We're doing some business at Monaco at the moment, so I've flown out to Monaco quite a few times this year. I just do it because I love it, and it's just a really good lifestyle. I'm very happy. I don't feel like I'm pushing or trying to achieve anything more. I just do it. It's fun.
You're still building. You're still building. It's not like you're doing nothing. You're still working, and you still have, some business, some partnership with different people. You're still working on some stuff. I feel like it's not. You're not retired yet.
No, not yet. The next project is the Bahamas. So at the end of January, there's a boat show, and we're trying to get the rights to do the yacht chef competition there.
Okay.
Which should be fun.
The right from who? Is there anyone that owns the right of the yacht chef competition? Is it like a trademark or?
No. It's a small boat show that doesn't have a yacht chef competition. So we're trying to come together and say, yeah, we're going to do it. And then obviously we get all the sponsorship for it and stuff like that, and makes it worthwhile. I think it'd be fun just to go out to the Bahamas for a few days and get to cook with some chefs. But trying to make that a little business that works.
Yeah, we should talk. Maybe Montclair Chef can become the sponsor for the chef competition. That could be cool.
That'd be fun. We're always looking for sponsors. Well, hopefully we're going to do it at Hurricane Hole. They're opening a new restaurant there, so I know the people there. And so hopefully we're going to use that space just as it opens and launches that restaurant. So it'll be a good kind of collaboration between us and Hurricane Hole and the restaurant.
Yeah, amazing.
You
mentioned that you're hitting the gym every day. Tell me, how do you stay motivated?
Well,
what's your secret?
Being fit has been a massive thing for me. When I first started in the industry, I would get very lonely. Being a sole chef on a busy boat, you're kind of left alone most of the day. I'm married. I've got 2 kids that are home here in Florida, and so I'd miss them a lot and kind of suffer with my mental health and make myself feel.
How old were your kids when you started working on boat?
Quite young, like 7, 5 and 7 when I first started.
It's tough.
They're older now, 16 and 13.
Yeah, now they're doing their own thing.
Yeah, they want to come out and see me.
They don't care so much if daddy's gone on the boat for a few weeks. It's fine. He'll come back. He'll buy me nice stuff when he comes back.
Yeah, right. As long as they can go to the mall, they're happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to suffer with my mental health, and I didn't know what to do about it. Tried lots of things, and I found working out, going for a run in the morning, really changed my mindset for the rest of the day. And so I just got onto that and started doing it. Being in the military, I used to lift weights and
Yeah.
work out like that. So I got into that. I really got into lifting a lot of weights, but it's difficult on a boat.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I found, Danny, I worked on boats. I don't know if you were aware of that, but I did, 17, 18 years on yachts as well as a chef. I realized that body weight workout was the best for me because there was basically no excuse. You could do it at home. You could do it when you're on holiday. You can do it on a boat. You can do it pretty much as long as you got enough space to put your yoga mat on the floor. You're good. And usually the cabins are not so big on smaller yachts, but it's you always find a little piece of of teak outside that you can use for your workout.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? We used to do a thing called 20 for 20.
Yeah,
So we'd go on the radio and say 20 for 20, and you had to do 20 of whatever the exercise was that day, whether it was like air squats or push ups
amazing.
or lunges, and all the stews that were in like up and working and the
So it was at
deckhands.
random time during the day, like when you were
Yeah,
working off charter, it was like
ev-
okay, 20
every
push-ups
20
or 20.
minutes, 20 push ups. So every 20 minutes, 20 lunges. And we do one exercise for the day, and then you could finish when you got to 100. Like that was you done. So we do
Yeah,
100 push ups each day, 100 lunges. And yeah, it was fun. I've done crossing ones where you do the competition where you do 100 push ups on the first day, and then you add 10 push ups each day until you've crossed. And it takes like 14 days to cross, right? So
oof,
you're doing a huge amount.
that hurts.
You try and document it and post it, which is fun. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I just love it. I just recently did a thing for International Yacht International Radio, YIR. They did a thing on mental health. So I created a series on my YouTube channel for like onboard exercises that you can do. So exercises, body weight ones, maybe one with a band or two that you can do on board in your
yeah,
cabin in a small space.
yeah.
And I talked to them. We did a like a live webinar, and I chatted to a bunch of people about mental health on board, eating right, trying not to snack, eating lots of
Yeah.
vegetables, and keeping
Yeah,
a
I mean,
balanced diet.
you're touching something that is very important. Is like we're talking about mental health and just body health in general, and just health in general. I think it's also important to not forget that the fuel that you put in your body is going to have a huge influence on how you feel and how you can move, and if you can or if you can't move. It's often connected to that. So we have to just make sure we eat well as well. And as a chef, it's so important because we're cooking for other people, but sometimes we're not taking care of ourselves
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
right.
and we
Or
gotta we
grabbing
gotta
a
make
quick
sure.
sandwich over the trash can,
Yeah, I mean,
and
this is
happens
not
so
part of the
often.
training. At least not. It wasn't part of my training as a chef to be like, okay, take 45 minutes to have your lunch, sit down, take your time. This never existed. It was the opposite. It was just like, what do you mean you sit down for lunch? What do you mean you're having lunch? It's incredibly wrong how we were trained to not take care of ourselves. And I think now it's important more than ever to take care of ourselves as people and as chef and as crew member, because like you said, it can get very lonely, and there's no one else that can sometimes look after you other than yourself. So it's very important to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and as you know, the galleys where everyone kind of comes and congregates,
Yeah,
and they want to tell you about their problems. They want to bitch
yeah,
about the stews, want to bitch about the deckies, and the deckies want
yeah,
to bitch about the stews. And as a male chef as well, you kind of
yeah,
you've got the stewardesses and you've got the deckhands, so you're kind of friends with everybody, and you're on a small boat, and you get a lot of baggage, you get all their
yeah,
problems and stuff like that. And yeah, I've been in lots of situations where you're on board where you know something about, one of the deckhands or something, and you know something about one of the stews, and you can't tell them. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's a stressful situation, and it's kind of something that's overlooked. We're out there making fantastic food, feeding the crew, Michelin star level food for the guests, and still dealing with all of that and not eating properly. Grabbing a bit of beef jerky or something and thinking
yeah,
it's healthy, and it's just not. And you need to take that time. You need to take time for yourself, mentally and physically, to improve and get better and
yeah.
stay consistent. I think consistency is the most important thing. Whenever
Yeah,
I kind of have
consistency
a
is
cheat
is so
day,
important for your own health and in your work as well. Consistency is the key, I think, to everything.
yeah,
If you can
if I have
maintain
a
that.
cheat day, I feel terrible. And you
Yeah,
know what it's like, drop off day. Everybody goes out for some cocktails and some pizza or something, and
yeah,
has a hangover the next day. and I was on a busy charter boat for 2 years when I really started getting into my health, and we would have 24-hour turnarounds, 48-hour turnarounds regularly. And you just can't go out and get hammered drunk and get up the next day and put all the provisions away and do all that stuff. And so that's when I really started to kind of take care of myself, make sure I ate well, make sure I took breaks, and
Yeah,
move my
breaks.
body.
That's something else, Danny. Taking breaks. Like you mentioned, as a sole chef, you're cooking for the crew, cooking for the guests. You don't have much time to look after yourself. You don't eat so well. I feel like putting yourself on a break is something a lot of chefs don't do enough. And I know I was guilty of not doing it when I was a sole chef back in the days, many years ago. And I mean, take a break. Whatever you do, you'll get it done, because if you have 15 minutes to make a dish, or if you have 3 hours, you're gonna do the same dish. You're just gonna find a way to make it work. So count yourself as off for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour if you can. Take a break.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It's important, and it's important to build those relationships with the people you work with. With
Yeah,
the chief stew, I think is one of the most important relationships for a chef.
yeah,
If you can get that right, you can take your breaks, and no one's going to be like, "Oh, you messed up because this happened." If you've got a
yeah,
good chief stew, she's going to take her breaks. You're going to take your breaks, and you're going to deliver service to that really high level. Because ultimately,
yeah,
that's what you're trying to do, is get the best service that you can for those guests, so you get the best tips. I mean,
yeah,
we're not a restaurant. We're not trying to make money. You're just trying to please people.
yeah, yeah. We're selling an experience, and it's it's not just the food, it's not just a service, it's not just the experience on the water, it's not just the toys. It's all of it. Everything is important, and
It is.
yeah, you got to take care of your team as well. No, that's so true. So, Danny, do you think you are? Would you say you're an optimist, or would you say you're a dreamer?
I think I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
optimistic, because you never know what's going to happen. I've been in this game for a while now, and sometimes I'm just amazed with what happens. So I'll give you an example of that. I was just at the Fort Lauderdale boat show, running around with a microphone, doing interviews, and at the time we had the boat in Miami with the boss's partner on it, and he said, "Oh, we've got a very important guy coming for dinner. Can you come back to the boat and cook for us?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So I head down there, pick up a bunch of provisions on the way down, get to the boat, start preparing, and then probably about half an hour before dinner, the guy comes in and says, "Oh, we're going to have one more guest, but he's really important. So can we squeeze him in?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, of course." And then he says, "But we want you to sit down and have dinner with us because we want to talk to you about something." So I was like, "Okay,
Huh. So who's
that's
cooking
strange."
dinner? Who's cooking dinner?
Yeah.
First of all, hang on.
Mm.
I
So
love sitting down for dinner, but
yeah. So I cooked dinner. I got it all ready. Did the apps, sent those out, and said I'll come and sit with main course because obviously you want to make it
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Did main course, sat down with one of the probably the world's best producers. Produced Dune, Spider-Man 3, Pirates of the Caribbean, like so many movies, and just got time to hang out with him and speak with him, and it was so interesting. He talked to me a lot about my Instagram and my YouTube, because the guys have been showing him. It was just a really
Amazing. A gift. I think
interesting
this is a
conversation.
gift.
Yeah, yeah, and that's yachting. Never know what's going to happen. Another example is I was I'd flown to New York with the boss that I was working with at the time, and the kids were needed picking up from school in Florida, so they flew me back on a private jet to pick up the kids from school, look after them for probably 2 or 3 hours before their mom got home, and then the next day I flew back on a private jet to New York to meet the boss. Just insane.
It is. It is. Anything is possible when you work for these guys. I mean, they have all the money in the world. They know all the most influential people, and their lifestyle is just incredible. It's not just
Incredible.
the life they have when they're on the boat. It's also the life back home, and the stuff they can do. I mean, that gives you access when you're a private chef for one of this family. You get to see, and you get to to touch a little bit of this lifestyle, even though you're still working, and you still have to respect the boundaries and not do or say anything stupid. But you get to you get to see some of this lifestyle. That's incredible.
Yeah, I've had some other great things as well. I worked for a guy that had a few rental properties in the Keys, and he offered for my family to stay for a week in the Keys, and thinking it was just a rental property, nothing special. Well, I was blown away. It was like a private island. It was insane. We were picked up at the gate and driven to the house, and me and my family spent a week there. It was just amazing. There was a boat out the back for us to take us fishing with a guy on it, a fish captain, and we were just treated like absolute stars. It was amazing, and what a gift. And like you say, these things happen. I think 2 days into our trip, they turned up with their fishing boat, 94-foot Viking, a
Yeah.
huge tuna fishing boat, and took us out for the day fishing, me and the wife and kids. I mean, I cooked tacos, but it was a good trade.
Yeah, no, amazing. I mean, especially if you can bring your family, this is, a gift for them as well. So,
It
you're
is,
not
yeah.
working for nothing.
It's lovely to have that, and to have those opportunities. And I know other chefs have had amazing opportunities where they've gone to work as stagers in restaurants, and
Yeah.
gone to work in places where as a chef it's a dream come true. You'd probably never get a chance to work in there, but because the boss is connected and you can get in at those levels, which is
Yeah.
great, isn't it?
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. So, Danny, what advice would you give to a chef, like a young chef today that wants to spend the next few years, maybe 3, maybe 5 years, to work, to put their head down, and they want to become one of the best yacht chef out there. So, what do you think they should spend the next 5 years, the next 4 or 5 years doing?
I think number one is professionalism. You need to be as squeaky clean as you can. No pictures of you on the internet getting drunk or doing crazy things or
Yeah,
having huge political views like that. That's kind of
agree.
important for this
Yeah,
industry. Um, Build a portfolio as well, whether it's a website you put online or whether it's a bunch of pictures that you put together. Build something that's professional and looks good and shows off your skills and skill level. I think that's really important. Number two would be get your SCTW done and your ENG done before you
yeah,
start looking to work on a boat.
yeah,
Network, go and meet as many people as you can, watch as many videos on YouTube like yourself,
yeah.
and kind of understand as much as you can about the industry before you try to get into it, because it's very different. It's very nuanced. There's some small things there that if you did,
And
people are.
there isn't two boats that are the same as well. Like
Mm.
it's a boat can be private, a boat can be charter, a boat can be busy, another one can be not busy. Like they're so different.
Yeah, there's a boat for everybody, really, isn't there?
Yeah,
But if you really want to push and become one of the top chefs, these are the things you need to do, and then you need to work out what kind of boat you want to be on. Like you say, if you want to go for the big yachts, start off as a sous chef, as a cruise chef, and just keep pushing towards that size boat, and just keep going. If you want to be a sole chef on a 50-meter, that's a very lucrative job because the tips are usually very good and usually pays well.
yeah,
Then push towards that. If you want to have something where you're freelancing on small boats, then they're really easy to get once you're in. Once you have that bit of sea time and that
yeah,
reference off the first captain, that's a good way to make money. But if you're serious about it and want a good, solid career in yachting, then I would go for the big boats and push for them.
yeah. So you would go charter or private?
I think with the big boats, it's kind of it you don't really get the choice in that, do you?
Yeah,
I mean, Apu was private when I took it on. By the
yeah,
time we got to Jamaica, it started chartering. And to give you an idea of the tips, it's 2.1 million to charter it for a week.
for a week.
37 crew on board, and you'd
Yeah,
expect an 18 to 20% tip. So
20%.
that's
That's good. That's
that's
good.
like 20 grand, right?
Yeah,
Each crew member.
amazing. This is
That's why the
just
big yachts
crazy money.
are where it's to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
a,
All
a
right.
2-2 rotation on a big yacht as a head chef. You're working
Yeah.
6 months out of the year, and you're probably going to make 10 to 12 grand a month
Yeah.
on a private boat. So, I mean, for me, that's kind of where I'd want to be at.
Yeah.
On a charter boat, you're probably looking at 7 to 9 thousand a month as a salary, with
Yeah.
maybe 3 to 4 thousand as tips if you're doing 2 charters a month. So again, it's good money, but you've got to know where you want to be, because it's hard. I it's
Yeah.
hard. It
It
takes a lot
is.
out of you.
It is. It is because you don't have a team of 10, 15 chefs behind you. The level of what you're cooking is still has to be top, like, because the people that can afford to charter or to rent one of these boats, or the people that own these yachts, they are educated. Like they know fine dining. They go, they eat at the best restaurant in the world. They've tried probably most of the best restaurant in the world, so they expect that level of food as well on board. For
Hmm.
themselves, for their family, or for their guests, because like you say, you mentioned some of the guests, some of the friends that would come, the boss's friend, they are also on the same level. I mean, these guys, they hang out with other people that are extremely successful, and they want to show off if they bring their friends on the boat. So you have to be
Yeah.
able to turn on the bling and just make it like amazing.
Yeah, you do, and you got limited storage, and
Yeah,
all your veggies are going off as soon as they're on board.
yeah.
You're probably
You
not
got
getting another
seat.
delivery.
Remember, like the floor is not. This is not stable. You can be like just rocking left and right, and yeah, there's
Yeah,
challenges. There is challenges. If you don't know about it, just like you said, just do a little bit of research. Watch a few channel on YouTube.
yeah. Check
Watch,
out
behind the line.
Nina Wilson. She
Nina
works on the
Wilson.
Loon. She's
Yeah,
she's very good. She does a lot of videos in the galley, like doing
yeah.
service and things like that. So you get to see.
Her handle
Um,
is the crew chef, right?
yeah, the cruise chef. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you've got the super yacht chef Dean Harrison. He does a
yeah.
lot as well. Not so
Yeah,
much now. He
we
does a
had
lot more
Dean on one of
pizza.
the episode at the yacht show in Monaco. We just did a short episode. It was a 20 minutes. It was super interesting to understand his background as well. There's a cool story, a few cool stories in there. Nina, we need to have Nina on the show. She's booked already. It's gonna come in the next few weeks. So I'm very looking forward to talk to her, because you mentioned her in the little document that we shared with you before we did the recording.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, she's been an inspiration for me.
yeah,
One with my YouTube channel and my Instagram, just the way that she shows yachting for what it is. You know, it's not
yeah,
below deck. It's a
yeah,
lot more professional. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. And Nina, I've watched Nina since I first got into yachting, her early videos, and just followed her career through. So I got to interview her at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, and it was
yeah.
just an honor to just to hang out with her and chat with her. Yeah, it's fun. She's a good girl
Yeah, yeah, no, and she's going places for sure.
for sure.
I think did she become the head chef of one of the boats she was on recently? Because she was first, as the handle said, the crew chef. Is she now head chef?
Yeah, she rotates with Dean on Loon. I think she's
Okay,
doing
okay,
that for a
cool.
few years now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, amazing, amazing. All right, Danny, let's chat a little bit about the galley, about the kitchen on the boat. Where do you see a super yacht galley going? Like, where in the next 5, perhaps 10 years? Do you think there's going to be a lot of changes in how the galley is set up, how the equipment are on board? Like, do you see a trend? Do you see something that's going to be like a major change, a major upgrade?
I mean, I'd like to think so. You can see the yachts now that are coming out are a lot
Yeah,
more sustainable and using the energy on board a lot different. There's some things that I've seen in just a short time that I've been on board. But I'm on a brand new boat now,
yeah,
and that's mainly electric. I've put induction on a few boats, which has made a huge difference to the temperature in the galley.
yeah,
As you know, mainly boats run on electric. There's not much gas. I think I've seen one boat that had gas on it, and everyone was scared. So you just don't see naked flames on the boat. It's
yeah.
mainly induction or electric. If it's electric, the residual heat
At the
is
same time,
crazy.
yeah, sorry to interrupt, but at the same time, I've seen a lot, not a lot, but more and more of this small charcoal barbecue, like either big green egg or like the small Japanese charcoal barbecue, which are, I think, an amazing addition to the boat, to the galley, because if you can have one of those, you can create a lot more flavor than just, like you say,
Definitely, yeah.
electrical heating elements is just, it's missing something. Like,
It
I'm not
definitely
saying
is.
you
Yeah.
should have gas and like open flames, even though it's
Be
easier
nice
to,
though,
to
wouldn't it?
judge. It's there's something with fire, we're still human, we're still animals somehow, and the fire, cooking on fire, is amazing, I think.
It is. It is. Yeah, it's such a difference, isn't it? I've seen a lot more pizza ovens on board. I've put a few pizza
Yeah,
ovens on. The little unis are really, really
yeah,
clever. Yeah, they heat up very fast. But what I saw at a trade show was this new system where it has like, you know how your phone charges by just putting it on the charger
yeah,
rather than plugging it in. It's the
yeah.
same concept, but the whole worktop is like that. So wherever you put your mixer, it will just connect with the power and fire up. I think it's called. I can't remember the name of it. But I spoke
So
to a
it's
couple
not
of
a
people
heating
about it.
element, it's only for the power of the appliances.
Yeah, so you can take your blender, put it down wherever you want, and it works. You can put your toaster down, you can put your sous vide machine down, and as soon as it touches the surface and you turn it on, it gets its power that way. So there's no wires, and you can put your blender wherever you need to on your surface. And as you know, on the galley, the space is so the you need space. There's just never
Yeah,
enough space, is there,
it's
to
like
put.
prime real estate. You know, it's very expensive. Every inch is used for something.
And you're constantly moving stuff around the galley like a little dance to be able
Yeah,
to use up all the space and to make each
yeah,
menu come out like it should do. So I really like that idea. I think that's clever. Get rid of the wires. I've seen some other ones where you've got clever cupboards that open up and get bigger, so there's loads more space inside. We had one where you pulled it out and had a whole like vertical shelving system that then slid back into the wall again, which was super clever.
yeah.
I'd like to see that a lot more use of space. There's a chef that I follow called Brendan Dates. He runs a YouTube channel called Olive Oil and Gasoline.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
He's
moved up
also he's
now.
gonna come on the show. Don't worry, he's gonna come.
Oh,
He's on a backlog. There's a few chefs, top chefs that I want to talk to, and he's one of them.
you should definitely speak to him about galleys. He's now doing galley
Yeah,
design.
yeah.
Yeah. Working on a poo, we didn't get a chance to work at that level with the design of the galley, but putting the small equipment in and the large equipment, there's a lot of simple mistakes people are making on the boats at the moment. And it's a shame that designers aren't taking a chef really early on in the design process to
I
kind of
know. I feel like I'm
work
gonna
out these
have an
problems.
hour and a half discussion with Brennan about this because he's this is something we kind of recorded one episode and then his internet connection was not very good because he was touring around Australia at the time, so we couldn't record. But we did start chatting about it, and he was saying exactly the same. He said like, look, we need someone that has worked in a galley, that has worked in a kitchen to help just design this stuff. It's not to put some equipment or appliances that no one's going to use. It's just to be able to have something that is functional, and like someone that has spent hours working in a galley can tell you better if this is a good spot to put like a piece of equipment. um
Yeah.
that's very important. And what
That's kind of
about
what I want to see from the future is
yeah, no, and you're
that
right.
more
You're right. We need
involvement.
more of those. Even though, I've had captain telling me, yes, but every chef is different, and you all want something different. But the core like function of the galley has to be well thought of. It has to be created in a smart way, so it actually there's you can make it work, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's very interesting that you mentioned that. What about the like how you spend hours in a galley as a chef, and your back gets trashed, and your elbow gets trashed, and your wrist and your knee. How do you think? What do you feel about the level? Like there was something that I could see that there's new ways, new approach in how you build the tabletops or the bench, like the working bench. And it's proven actually by elevating them by 5 or 4 centimeters, so they're not at 90, they're actually at 95. It makes it easier for the chefs because you
Oh,
don't
wow.
have to put your head down so much. You kind of lift it a little bit more, and it creates a little bit of a higher work bench. So I don't know if you've seen this, but it's something that I wish could change as well. It's just a little bit, it's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of
I
inches
used
or
to
one
work with a
inch.
guy in the military, and
Yeah,
he was a giant. He was 7 foot
yeah,
one. His name
yeah,
was Jeff the chef, and he
yeah,
used to get the big insert containers, the big metal ones, the really
yeah.
tall, deep ones. He used to flip one of those over,
The
put his chopping
gastro.
board on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he wasn't bent over so much, and it makes such a difference.
it
I've done
does.
it a few times as well. Yeah, like you say, you're standing up straighter. You just aligns your spine properly.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's a few things. There's a checklist that we can put together, and we can send it over to Brennan, and he can just make sure those yachts are built with the proper galley and the proper equipment in place.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, Danny. Danny, before we finish, so you wrote a couple of books. Any more books coming out soon? Any?
Not that I've got planned. We've talked about doing some collaborative ones with some other chefs and
Yeah,
getting their kind of recipes in. But honestly, I'm so busy at the moment.
that would be a
Don't
good
focus
idea
on
to
it.
have actually some of the top yacht chefs out there. Just put one or two recipes and just have like a compilation of the top yacht chefs.
Yeah, that'd be fun, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Anything's possible. Look, you know that what they say. If you can think about it, if you can create it in your mind, it exists. You just have to just deliver on it.
That's true.
Amazing, Danny. All right, Danny. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I mean, we've covered a lot already in just over an hour. Thank you so much. I didn't know half of what we just talked about, everything you shared with us. Thank you so much for sharing. You have an amazing background, and you're not finished. You still have so much to. I'm sure you're gonna accomplish so much more.
Hopefully, yeah, that's the plan.
You will. Like I said, you're unstoppable. So thank you so much for being here, Danny.
My pleasure. Thanks for speaking to me.
Thanks. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.